here to tell you this. Stephanie White has found herself in Charlotte's Web. And I didn't even trip off this earlier today. But shout out to Ben Daniel, man, because it had dawned on me, which I think they lying, that technically, based off what they're saying, Caitlin Clark is not cleared to play 5-on-5.
Stephanie White has been caught slipping yet again, and now doctors are publicly calling her out. The narrative about Caitlin Clark's minor injury has completely unraveled, leaving fans furious. This is all the signs of full-blown damage control. The real question is, how long did Stephanie believe she could sustain this falsehood before the evidence surfaced? Let's dive into it. It seems Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever believe they could juggle being medical experts.
This was Stephanie White. Listen.
Steph, do you know when Caitlin's injury happened?
I don't know when it happened. I know afterwards, we got a message that she had something going on with her leg, and they were getting an MRI, and then we got the injury yesterday.
Was it after the Liberty game on Saturday?
Is that their last game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
This all began in July when Caitlin Clark's injury was labeled a groin strain. They described it as a day-to-day issue. However, medical professionals are now stating that's not how groin injuries function. A sports doctor came forward to clarify the timeline, stating unequivocally that a groin strain is never a day-to-day situation. It's week-to-week at a minimum. This implies that when the Fever claimed Caitlin was
Let's just have a rewind back.
Another groin strain. This is the other side. As we talked about with the first one on the left side coming back after the quad, day-to-day is not accurate for even a minor groin strain. It was closer to 2 weeks before she returned, played well, and now the other side, the right side. It is unclear what imaging shows, but once again, the new groin strain is not day-to-day. She's already missing the All-Star game and the three-point contest. The question is how much more? We won't know until we know about the imaging details, which were not revealed. But in any case, it's not day-to-day, closer to week.
The doctor specified the recovery was closer to a month, not a mere few days. So as fans awaited Caitlin's return, Stephanie was publicly commenting on her toughness and rapid healing. Please, that's not how medical science works. This is where the story gets interesting. Doctors are now stating online that the Fever never consulted them to review the case. This essentially means the team was inventing its own recovery schedule, prioritizing public relations over a player's well-being. Great coaching. Fans aren't foolish. They've been following this absurdity for months. One fan commented, "No one believes us."
She basically says Caitlin Clark is not cleared. Now, I did the first video. Now, this is from another doctor back in July breaking down a time frame of Caitlin Clark injury. Listen to this. This was on July the 16th. Now, this is when Caitlin Clark injuries happened, right? It says Caitlin Clark injury history, left quad strain, May the 26th, left a groin strain, July 5th, right groin strain, July 16th. He said initially he thought the strain she suffered last night was a re-injury, but realized that it wasn't. Obviously, we know that. Now, this was all the reports that was released by the Indiana Fever front office. Out status. This was all within
If you review the interviews, which I have, you'll see Stephanie contradicted herself repeatedly over 2 months. First, the injury was a minor strain, then it became day-to-day. After that, it was after Redis. She'll be fine next week. Suddenly, the story shifted to, she's not cleared for 5-on-5 yet. What? She's unfit for scrimmage, but can travel and sit courtside? That doesn't add up. And here's the kicker. Even at that time, Caitlin was reportedly refusing to see the Fever's medical team. She was being evaluated by her own private doctors. That alone should have been a massive red flag. When your star player lacks faith in the team's medical staff, there's a serious problem. But rather than being transparent, Stephanie just repeated the same generic lines. "We're taking it one day at a time. She's in good spirits, and we'll know more after the imaging." We've all heard that script a dozen times.
It looked like fans is catching on too. One fan said, "No one believes a single word the biggest liar in the women's basketball landscape, aka Stephanie White, has to say. I'm not saying this. They said this 20 hours ago."
Let's be honest, they likely wanted Caitlyn off the court to implement their system without her. The second she has the ball, the entire offense revolves around her, and Stephanie White seemed to resent that. So they opted for a long-term strategy. And don't forget, this pattern has repeated itself every year. This is not new behavior. For the third consecutive season, we've seen mystery injuries, secret scans, and the "we'll see tomorrow" routine. It's the same excuse, just a different year. So when you hear people talking about instant regret, they are serious. Now every doctor and reporter is digging up the old receipts. Stephanie can't escape it this time. There's even a video from May where she claimed she didn't know when Caitlyn was injured. She just heard something was going on with her leg. You are the head coach. How can you not know when your star player sustained an injury? A month later, she's on camera claiming to know exactly what happened and that Caitlyn is a quick healer. So which is it, Steph? You can't be clueless one week and an expert the next. This is why fans are roasting her online. They see right through the facade. They believe she was protecting her job, not her player. If Caitlyn... And now, after all the deception and contradictions, what are the doctors saying? That Caitlin Clark's injury had healed weeks ago. She was cleared for 5-on-5 practice earlier than the team claimed. So why was she still on the bench? You know the answer. Stephanie was stalling. She talked about mental recovery and slow progression. No, you just didn't want her disrupting your playbook, and now it has backfired spectacularly. Doctors are exposing the real timeline, fans are exposing the lies, and reporters are putting the pieces together. It is not a good look. At this stage, the Indiana Fever should just call a press conference and admit they messed up. Every day they continue the charade. The most ridiculous part is they continue to call this a learning experience. This isn't a classroom experiment, it's a professional league. You can't gamble with your star player's career. Now Stephanie is being criticized on every platform. Fans are creating edits of her repeating day-to-day with clown music. Someone even made a meme saying Stephanie White's medical degree was earned on Google Images. It's harsh, but fitting. You have to laugh at the messiness. But here is the fundamental problem. When you lie about injuries, you're not just misleading the... Let's not overlook the timing. This all began just as the Fever were pushing for the playoffs. Then suddenly, Caitlyn's injured, the team's momentum dies, and the season falls apart. Instead of taking responsibility, Stephanie hid behind medical jargon. A classic diversion. It's as if she thought fans would simply forget. But the WNBA community has a long memory. They have timestamps, screenshots, and every relevant doctor's tweet saved. So when new information revealed this week that Caitlyn was never in danger, fans were outraged. Now and this issue won't disappear anytime soon. Other players and analysts are beginning to speak out. They're confirming this isn't the first time a coach has manipulated an injury timeline for PR purposes. Stephanie is on her way to becoming the face of poor management. Instant regret doesn't even begin to describe it. This is career-altering regret. You can already see the Fever attempting to... The aftermath of this entire situation has been chaotic. You would think that after being publicly corrected by actual medical doctors, Stephanie White would admit fault and move forward. But she hasn't. Instead, she's doubling down, acting as if nothing is wrong. She's smiling in press conferences, repeating those one-day-at-a-time phrases like a broken record. The level of confidence required to be this delusional on camera is almost impressive, and now, fans are giving her an earful. The Fever's comment sections have become a battleground. On every post, whether it's "congrats to our interns" or "happy birthday, Aaliyah," you'll find dozens of comments saying, "Stop lying about Caitlyn." That's the result of insulting your audience's intelligence. You can't call fans family and then feed them fabricated. The best part is that the doctors who exposed the story are not backing down. They've been giving interviews explaining precisely why the Fever's account of events was medically unsound. One even stated it's highly unlikely a professional athlete with multiple groin strains could return to full movement in under 2 weeks. Translation: Stephanie White, you're full of it. The timing of it all makes her look even more guilty. Remember when she claimed Caitlyn was almost ready just before that road trip? It turns out that was the same week the team quietly filed for additional medical evaluation. Even players from other teams are subtly criticizing the situation. One player tweeted, "Protect your body. They'll smile in your face and ruin your career behind your back." Everyone understood the reference. It's not just the players, the media is catching on too. Reporters who once supported Stephanie are starting to change their tune. One headline read, "Fever coaching staff faces credibility crisis." Credibility crisis is journalists speak for "we caught you in a lie." But let's get to the heart of it. Why lie? Because the team was desperate. The Fever season was on the line, and instead of being transparent, they tried to manufacture. There's a clip from a press conference where Stephanie says, "We're being cautious with Caitlyn." Meanwhile, Caitlyn had already been cleared by her personal doctors to start scrimmaging. You can see the assistant coach's expression change as she says it, as if even he couldn't believe her word. Now that the truth is out, all her interviews seem suspicious. The forced smiles, the vague medical language, the "she's feeling good" lines. It all looks like damage control, and fans can be ruthless. One person tweeted, "Stephanie White is treating Caitlin Clark's recovery like a Netflix cliffhanger." Another wrote, "Can someone tell the Fever this isn't the CIA?"